Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 210. I am Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Tedeschi. Hello, sir.
Hi, viewer. I have got two thumbs.
Oh, I'm so happy to be back, not only in Minnesota, but also with an actual microphone. I listened to the other one briefly, and the sound quality was actually okay, considering it was a bundled, iPhone headphone microphone. But
yeah, it's surprisingly
prefer
easy
this.
to get good sound quality now.
I know.
It's really weird.
You used to have to pay attention a lot,
yeah,
not
it's
long ago.
Now, whenever I hear a YouTuber and it sounds like they're in a hallway, I'm like, what are you doing?
How have you done that?
How have you managed to make this sound so bad?
This is the only device I took with me to the second vacation, and I put headphones on when I listened back to the clips. I'm like, this sounds
Surprisingly
amazing.
good, yeah.
There's 7 microphones in there, and it somehow does computations, and I don't know, it doesn't matter. What are you drinking beer-wise?
I got a Heineken here.
Nice. It looks like it's not open yet.
It does have a number.
Oh, it must be a new batch.
Apparently it is. Yeah, I guess I should open it. Have to grab my bottle opener.
Yes. Very, very effortlessly. Oof, just beautiful. And how is it?
It smells like a fart.
Heineken is usually either really smooth and excellent, or it smells like a fart.
It smells like a fart. Tastes fine. Yeah,
Okay,
that's how Heineken is.
Thank you, Dutch. Holland. I like saying
Holland.
Hollish,
So,
even though I know it's Dutch.
whenever you hear about Holland in history, it's always something bad. There's never anything good that's ever happened in Holland historically.
When I think of Holland, I think of bicycles and marijuana.
I think of Heineken and the Heineken CEO being kidnapped.
Okay, fine.
I think about World War I and World War II, and then I think about King Leopold, who's possibly the worst person in history.
Pretty sure that's pre-war.
Yeah, it is. King Leopold is really up there for as he's Antichrist level bad.
Oh.
He started slavery.
Oh.
Among other things. See, that's the thing is, you lead into King Leopold with, oh yeah, he really started the Atlantic slave trade. You start with that, and it gets worse from there.
That's a big yikes.
He's the worst person. So, yeah, Holland kind of sucks.
Okay, well, I have no issue with Heineken. I am drinking a non-Hollish beer, a Grain Belt Northeast Tall Boy.
It's good beer.
And then before we dig into the first half of the episode topic here,
Yes.
I want to briefly cover our Patreon page. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. On this content creator support mechanism website, you will find 2 open-ended levels or tiers that we have for you. Check them out. Carbitrage is the username, Carbitrage. I actually did pick up one more this week, but he wanted to go to the Oval Bore Patreon. I'm like, just go to the podcast one. There's nobody on the other one. So, hello, Nick Heno. You don't want to listen to the podcast, but thank you for helping us at least pay for a beer.
Thanks, new guy. Yeah.
Patreon.com/Carbitrage.
All right, so I want to talk about our first topic. So everybody's been doing tier list in the world. It's
Apparently.
quite fun.
You've been teaching me
You had
today,
just
so.
found out what they are today. We watched a pretty good one. We watched the Pixar Hot Mom tier list.
Which was good.
That was a good one.
My brain is able to work in a tier list fashion, so
Yeah.
I can remember data points like that, but I
Exactly.
understand that a lot of people can't.
So it's really nice to have a actual physical graph. So in addition to our podcast, if you watch the video version, there's a tier list video happening. But what I like about tier lists is they work just as well in audio format.
Which is good, because I added a few things at the end of the
Yeah,
notes
you did.
generating session that only the audio listeners will really
Yes,
benefit from.
there's some special ones here for the audio people.
Yes,
So
it is.
what our tier list is the tier list of underwhelming performance cars / trim levels.
Aha!
I couldn't fit all that in the tier list tier maker website.
That's fine.
So here
I
I am.
do see that there is a poop emoji option.
Though that's an ad. Don't click on that. You'll probably get a virus.
Oh, I don't run an ad blocker. I probably should run an
I
ad
would
blocker.
run an ad
on
blocker.
this.
Well, actually, no. You run into enough problems with websites.
We probably couldn't go to the drive.com
Yeah,
anymore
exactly.
if I did that.
So, well, let's just get in here and start strawing with our tier list. I just want to start out with a car that is technically an underwhelming performance car, but I would put at the peak of underwhelming performance cars. I'm going to say the BB6 Honda Prelude SH. That is the highest trim level of the Prelude, really effectively the best Prelude that was ever made. Four-wheel steering, you had the H22A 100 horsepower per liter, 2.2 liter engine, which is insane. Every bell and whistle a Honda had at the time. It was really, really cool. And it totally would have been a top tier car if the Integra Type R didn't exist. And so that's why I'm putting this one at the S tier, because it's only underwhelming by comparison. On its own, it's a totally good car, and you can still have a blast with them, but it's just the fact that the Integra exists. It kind of puts it there as, like, underwhelming.
But they sold a lot more 5th gen Preludes in this country than they did ITRs.
Yes, yeah,
so
yes, they did.
It's still, yeah.
But the
pretty
normal
good, pretty good
Integra
buy.
outsold it, like, just completely annihilated it.
If I found similar condition 5th gen Prelude and EM1, I don't know which one I'd pick.
As an investment, I would do the EM1. If I was going to actually drive this car, I'd do the Prelude.
Well, I don't drive anything, so.
In your case, I'd get the EM1. For me, also where I live, Prelude. Because the Prelude, less likely to get stolen. The EM1 would be in front of my house for a day. It'd be one day and be gone forever. So, the Prelude would... It's one of those cars where it's technically underwhelming, but it's pretty good. Moving to the next one, let's take... Which car do you... Just point at one on the screen here.
I want this weird Sentra SCR thing garbage.
Yeah, we can do that. So I'm going to talk about every generation of the Sentra SER other than the B13. Because they made exactly one good generation of good Sentra ever. And that could go for any Sentra. Like, not just that.
Yeah.
Like, just all Sentras. They made, like, the early 90s, the B13 was good. So I just chose literally every other one. That all goes very firmly right into the bottom of D tier.
And I'll add, just because we're on the topic of Sentra, I added the more recent Sentra Nismo
Yeah, that's fair.
to that, like the swoopy CVT one.
Yes, and that one's really bad.
It actually was a manual, which was cool, but it was still a trash car.
I remember that when the Sentra Nismo came out, they also did not call that SER. They just called it a Sentra Nismo. And
Yeah,
it was just like, it was a butthole of a car.
But it was a manual, which is why I paid attention to it.
Yeah, and so it was actually in Forza Horizon 4.
Oh my god.
And it was a surprisingly well, like, handling car for, like, if you're building an online A-class car, like, did really well there. But it was one of those things where it's like people wouldn't be bothered to even build it. And it was like the car was free. Like, you literally got the car for free with it. You didn't have to buy it. You could just have it. And people still didn't build it. Like, people forget that car's even in the game. You can go on Forza Horizon 4 now and get the car for free, and nobody gives a shit. I've seen exactly 3 of them the entire time that game's been out playing online. And I play online. I used, not lately, but like up until about 6 months ago, I was playing online races, at least 5 races a week.
Okay.
So, like, I've vlogged plenty of time in Forza Horizon 4.
Okay.
And I have seen 3 of those cars. And it keeps giving them to me. And I keep, like, I go to my Nissan section, I have to, like, go through a sea of Sentra Nismos to get to, like, my Hakoska.
They all have 0 miles on them.
Yet every single one is, like, new. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to continue to be new. I don't even care about that car. I can't be bothered. Like, actually, no, I've got one that's not new. Because I tried. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll build one. And I built it, and I couldn't go through with, like, actually installing the parts and then having to deal with, like, half an hour of tuning to make it actually really good. And so I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this.
Pass.
Yeah, I'm going to build a 3000 GT. So, which actually, this isn't on the picture version, but you said the 3000 GT.
Well, I started with the Dodge Stealth RT, and I want to specifically target the turbo versions because I just couldn't be bothered with the SL trim and lower.
Those are
But
worthless.
the Dodge Stealth RT and the US spec 3000 GT VR4 I put in the B category because tremendous on paper,
Yes.
really terrible cars.
Truly awful.
Very, very heavy. Too.
I really want one still.
I will admit, one came up in I think the Radwood Facebook group.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
really
91
want
like
one.
Survivor and like Burgundy, had like the upgraded cylinder heads. Dude only wanted like $4,500 for it. It was a 6-speed.
It's a good deal.
It is, but I'm like, I still wouldn't buy that.
That will be the worst vehicle you've ever owned.
Yeah,
And
which is, I'm not
the thing.
buying
For
that.
me, like, if that car was, like, even Buick Riata reliable, like, that car would not be on this list. Or if it was...
I think it's honestly working on it. It's like the Z32 300Z XTT. Like, that's
it
why
really
that
ruins
car
it.
wasn't better than a Supra.
Yeah,
That's
no.
because you could work on a Supra.
And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, if that car was more reliable, I wouldn't have to deal with working on it. I would want it more.
I agree.
But it's every
When they
single
were
time.
new, I really wanted one.
Yeah, every time I see somebody working on one, they're always it's always horrible. They're always depressed.
When was the last time you heard somebody that owned any transverse V6 powered vehicle and they said, I'm glad I had to work on that today?
Not.
It doesn't exist.
Actually, no. Because actually, as I say, NSX. But, like, NSXs just don't break, and that's why people like them. Because they're Hondas. They're reliable.
Well, you still have to do, like, valve cover gaskets, and that job sucks.
Awful.
But
Terrible.
some companies did a good job, at least with their intake manifolds, where it's, like, 3 bolts just to take the top half off, and then you can get at stuff.
Yeah, 3000 GT is not like that.
No.
And there's a lot of vacuum lines, too.
Well, it's like a 90-degree dual overhead cam V6. Like, it barely fits.
Yeah,
into
it's
things.
a really, really dumb V6. And then it's got, like, the world's longest intake manifold. It's just ridiculous.
Not to mention all the turbo plumbing and 90s turbochargers and
Also,
all-wheel drive system.
Can't forget the 90s, like, rubber intake boots that will
Oh, yeah.
completely shred apart. Yeah, those awful.
And
Awful.
apparently, the cylinder heads were, like, intrepid bad.
I would put that in B tier. Absolutely, it's dead in the middle where it would not be on this list, but that unreliability just really just tanks it.
Yep.
So actually, I did mention the Buick Riata, so let's yank that up here. I would say, you know what? I don't hate that as much as I really, truly hate the Sentra SER. So I'm actually gonna put the Buick Riata higher on here. I can't find it on my list. Oh, I'm gonna put it on C tier actually. It was originally D, but I'm gonna move it up a little bit.
And then I'll move it right back down to D since I put it in C for you. It's a terrible car.
It is terrible. But this
It has like a 70-30 weight distribution.
It's really bad.
It's like the opposite of a 911. The
it is-
engine's completely
it is
forward to the front axle.
awful. It
Terrible
is-
car.
trust me,
You're
you're
just
not
like the CRT.
That's the thing. And with this car, it brings me more joy than any of these other cars would.
Can I do a C&a-half?
It won't let you. So yeah, I'll give you a D because it is objectively bad, and the fact that it was going to be rear-wheel drive until the 11th hour, like, really pisses me
Oh
off.
god, I'm looking at the other cars you have in the C tier. I feel bad. Yeah, well, it's a C tier car.
Yeah, it's a C tier car because the other cars are C tier. Totally are on par with that.
The other ones hurt me.
They're pretty bad. Well, I'm going to do another one of my cars, actually. I'm going to go with car I'm going to put in B tier. Why don't you grab the Hyundai Tiburon and yank it up to B? Because, not A, B. B tier.
Oops. I
'cause-
forgot about the S.
Yes, because the Hyundai Tiburon is
And
very...
this, to clarify, is the first gen Tib.
Yeah, and I will just say all of them as well. I chose a picture of the first gen because that's the one I like the most. But it's one of those cars where it could have been so much better than it was. Because all Hyundai had to do is really just add a turbo or have the Integra not come to America. I really
I'm
think
noticing a pattern with the
if
Integra.
the Integra didn't exist, a lot of these cars would not be on this list. They're actually perfectly fine cars. But looking at the Hyundai Tiburon is kind of a cool car. 'Cause it's like 4G63, better flowing cylinder head. It was very, very high take rate for manuals. They were only front wheel drive, which kind of sucked. Because you had like the GSX, which was the Eclipse, was almost the exact same car as this. And honestly, the interior holds up way better than Mitsubishi's. Their interiors.
That's not terribly surprising.
No, it's not surprising. But like if you said that like to somebody in 2002,
Yeah.
like the Hyundai,
Oh,
this
yeah.
first gen Hyundai interiors will hold up better than that. Than the
Hyundai wasn't a known quantity when that car came
No.
to America.
And
so.
I think if they had either added a turbocharger or all-wheel drive, this car would have been way better. And
Or even
people-
they didn't sell this with the 2.7 V6. That was
no,
limited
that
to
was
the second gen.
the second gen.
I was gonna say, have they shoehorned it in there? That would have also worked.
And the thing is that the second generation is the second, third generation. Like the second generation, that was probably the most popular Tiburon.
It was a good-looking car. I remember the first time I saw one, I'm like, "What is that?"
Yeah, they look good. Like they
and
look
like
good.
now they look terrible, but
Yeah.
in 2002 they looked really
They
good.
looked very, very cool. But yeah, it's just one of those cars that aged like milk. Like they really did age well.
like a third gen Eclipse.
Yeah, like well, 'cause they were the same thing.
Yep.
And speaking of such, where should we put that third gen Eclipse? I'd put it above this. I would say the third gen Eclipse.
Oh, I didn't even notice this was on that list.
I would call that A class Because it's not quite as good as a Prelude, but if you had to go...
No, they didn't offer all-wheel drive. The V6 was terrible. The only upside to the third Gen Eclipse was the Dirty Vegas ad.
Yes, which is great. And
It is
manuals.
a very good
It's
ad.
manual transmissions.
Yeah, but no, this is no way it's going in B.
It's B
a
tier.
B.
It's right on par with the Hyundai of the same generation.
Same platform, same thing.
All right, that's fair.
Again, it's for the same reasons.
Yeah, it's really fair. Like that, it was too big for.
It could have been good, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and
Look at Too Fast, Too Furious.
I did not put the 4th Gen Eclipse on here because I didn't have anything below D tier I could put it in.
Yeah, Balto.
That car was very.
What about the 5th Gen Eclipse?
That's what I was thinking. Oh, the Eclipse Cross. Oh God, no. Yeah, that's like Q tier. Just
You can probably just scroll down. Right?
Yeah.
Edit this, right?
all right, how about this? Hyundai did make an okay sports car almost.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the Hyundai Genesis Coupe on A tier.
Okay.
Because the whole thing was everybody's very excited when this came out, and there's so much hype.
Yeah.
Because it was rear-wheel drive, it came with a manual, and it had 200 horsepower. It weighed like 3,800 pounds. This is the heaviest
it's a
vehicle.
Hyundai. It came with a 10-year warranty. It was a cheaper insurance group. It
But the
looked
problem
good.
was it came with like 200 horsepower. It weighed like 4,000
The
pounds.
big thing was like the 3000 GT. It was
So
way
heavy.
too heavy.
Because it came out in that era, like right when like a bunch of extra safety things came out, like just
Yeah.
like
It
all
was
the
small
safety
frontal
regulations.
overlap,
Yeah.
crash test
It-
garbage.
Then Hyundai they lean into airbags more than any other manufacturer on earth, so their cars get very heavy very quickly.
And the 3.8 wasn't great either.
The 3.8 wasn't great, and then the 2-liter was very close to the Evo, but not close enough that they can share rotating assembly parts. And that problem really manifested itself when people were like blowing holes through pistons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean,
and then you just kind of you had a cap of like 400 horsepower on it. And it's like,
that's not good enough.
no, it's not, and it's like you're not gonna LS swap a brand new car
It should.
in 2008. You're not gonna LS
Those came
swap.
out in 08?
Yeah.
Wow, that was really ahead of its time.
Well, that's the thing is that they came out like at a time when there's no other rear-wheel drive sports coupe, and they were like the whole reason they were even in Formula D for when they were is like the only other car you could put in Formula D at that point in time was a
350Z.
370.
Oh,
Because
370.
right when the
you're
370
Yep.
came out, or you could get like a G35. And it's like, yeah, you're not gonna get a G35, and like a 370Z is like just hefty.
Yeah, I mean, these were inexpensive too, at least in base form.
In base form, yeah. And I drove one. When they first
fine.
came out, I drove one, and I'm like, I can see how this would be. Like, it felt very similar to a 240 SX. But the problem is that the 240 SX existed, and the 240, it wasn't like, when that car came out, the 240 SX wasn't like
Super
$4,000 for a non-running chassis.
Right.
Like not even a non
4,500 bought you a really nice Zenki S14.
Yeah, like in
Or
2000,
4,000, sorry, not
yeah,
400.
yeah, like no, like you can get the best like S14 in the world in 2008 for like $8,000.
And again, nice ones for 4.5.
And then trying to sell this car at like to get one reasonably equipped is like $30,000. Not a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is the Genesis Coupe, like once you put any luxuries on them, it immediately surpassed everything in price. It sucked.
Yeah.
So
And now they're all with low tier owners.
they're all the low tier owners, and like the manual take rate was like near nil because the only people that bought them were retirees.
Yeah.
Because like Hyundai's, they didn't have the in performance division
It's
yet.
the opposite of the Soul.
Yeah, it was like
All the young hip people bought the Soul, and it was marketed
Yeah.
toward old people. And the Genesis Coupe, marketed toward young folks, just got bought by all the
by all the
fogies,
boomers,
pensioners.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's like you didn't have the in like performance division either.
Right,
So like
right.
there was no hype, and it was rough. Like there's no way that they were gonna sell it, and like you could put all those cars in the world in Formula D and nobody give a shit. So yeah.
If you have one of those LS swapping, call it
Yeah,
good.
exactly. The Genesis Coupe is a firm A tier. It's not objectively bad.
No, it's a good car, but it doesn't do anything for me.
That's the thing is like there's just it's nobody's dream car.
Right.
It's absolutely nobody's dream car. And, like I really tried to force myself to like it, and I just couldn't. So that definitely goes right there. How about the T230 Celica?
That's the MRT
final,
Spider Gen.
Yeah, the final generation Celica with the 1ZZ and 2ZZ options. I would say S tier.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
objectively,
sorry.
that was really loud.
I don't know why. I
I don't
haven't
know.
changed my distance to the mic.
But that was a very good
6
car.
speed and 2ZZ alone, yeah.
S
Plus
tier.
the styling when it was new
It,
anyway.
it aged well. I really like the way they look now.
They're still cool.
Yeah, they still look cool.
You see
They're-
a GTS with that stupid TRD wing on the back. I'm like, that's so 2000.
the hyper sports kit. Yeah, I love that. I would totally.
They called it the TRD Stage 1.
Yeah, that car totally fits on this list in the S class. Where it was the MR2 existed at that point in time, and then what they were trying to do is they were trying to pivot the Celica to be a competitor to the Integra, and it did a very good job because objectively it did a really good job. Like whenever you see track tests, it's not that far behind the Integra.
Well, I mean, the GTS had a 2ZZ GE.
Yeah,
which
it
is
is
a
actually-
fantastic
The
engine.
issue is that you could get a used one for cheaper that had all-wheel drive and a 3S GTE.
True.
Yeah.
Oh man, an all track would be so cool.
And that's the thing is the all-track of the previous generation just nuked this car. And to be fair, for Toyota's credit, this was a very good lightweight sports car, and they did a great job with the lightweight parts. They weigh like nothing.
and they drive the control weights.
Yeah,
are all really good.
This is a car that exists in this class solely because the Integra exists. Like, if the Integra did not exist, this car would have been the best by like far the best sports coupe of the early 2000s.
And the real answer, of course, as we know, is Corolla XRS. Which
Same thing, but
awesome
4 doors.
4 doors.
Yeah.
And it's a Corolla.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You
But
just have to swap the ECU, otherwise it doesn't rev as high. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, like, it's such a cool car.
I would really like a Corolla XRS
Yeah, I want Corolla or a Celica. Actually, I was
or a Vibe.
when I was like first like
Matrix.
when I was first buying the Fiat, when I was first like looking for a new car, the Celica was on my list for longer than any 20-year-old car. Other 20-year-old cars on that list.
I would not want a daily one.
And that's kind of what it finally came up to is like my issue was this car is going to go to hell really quickly because it's already 20 years old and it's in Minnesota. And like
Yeah,
if this wasn't my daily, I would have bought one. Like if I was replacing, I don't know, like maybe not the Cressida, but like if I was like looking for like a third car, like a fun car that's like cheap, that car would be top of my list. So really good. And
We're probably getting near the days of cheap Celica GTSs being gone, but you never know.
yeah, well, that's the thing is like you can get one with the hyper kit on it and like the big dumb TRD wing and the 2ZZ and like 40,000 miles on it and $5,000 at most.
And you can get one with rust on it for $2.
Yeah, like yeah, you can get them like you can get a not great one for free pretty much.
Yeah.
Why don't you grab one and throw it on the list?
I want to
next?
take the PT Cruiser,
All right,
and you put this higher up than I would
put
have.
it on the C tier because this is objectively a very fast vehicle.
It's because you chose the turbo.
I did, and that's actually a turbo. I typed in PT Cruiser turbo.
Is it a manual turbo?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
The
fine.
automatics are terrible.
Yeah.
But I put
Although
that
people
C
build
tier.
those transmissions for the SRT4 race cars.
That gets very firmly in the C tier because that car's it's so annoying because it sucks, but like everybody that owns one, they're so much faster than like probably what you're driving that you can't really.
It's a better answer than the Caliber SRT
Yes.
because those are owned by SRT4 neon people,
That-
whereas these are owned by
Grandmas.
a different demographic.
It's like grandmas and like the cool grandpa. Like that's who owns it.
Yeah,
But
they are fast.
there was a really good. I think Don't Media did like a bumper to bumper or something, but they did a thing on the history of the PT Cruiser. It's fascinating how that car exists. And like Chrysler put like so much effort into marketing that, and like it worked really well. And then they saturated the market, and then everybody stopped buying them because
Well,
it was.
and it stagnated too. I mean, they made them 1997 through 2005.
Well, they continued making them actually later than that.
Really?
Yeah, but the reason that they stagnated was originally it was gonna be a limited release, like the Prowler.
Yeah.
And like all these boomers like bought them up and started doing like cool, like retro style builds, like put on full moon hubcaps and everything, stuff, and like shave like the door handles, stuff that was like cool in the '90s. So like Boyd Coddington loved
There's
his.
a chopped one in the Twin Cities that I see often. I'm like, who
that was
this?
probably built in like that era, in
It
like the early
probably
2000s, and they're
was.
very cool.
It's still in great shape.
But
I'm just like,
The
wow.
thing is that they sold like 800,000 of them, and they stopped being special. And then it was one of those things where it's like you could buy it brand new, and then also see the same car in a bargain lot. And then also your cool friend didn't have it, like Chad from the football team didn't have one. It was always like Phil, the old guy that just retired, bought it for Dolores, his wife. Like,
Yeah, it had a demographic issue.
yeah, it was the demographic issue, and that just like nuked it. And that just you couldn't do anything from that.
But
however,
it's a cheap, fast Neon in better condition.
and
so.
also it's probably the fastest car you can get with wood paneling on the outside. Because they have wood paneling kits for these.
Yeah, probably from the factory.
No, it wasn't factory, but it was a very common dealer added option, and I think it'd be really hilarious to build like a drag race like PT Cruiser with the wood paneling kit. It'd be really funny.
I wonder what all-wheel drive system you could use, because yeah, you could maybe
It's
drag
front,
it from.
you can drag it front wheel drive, and there's a lot of work. You have to use like the SRT4, ACR, limited slip, gearbox, and like people like do it. Like there are still fast SRT4s, like all three of them they're still running. Like,
I knew that was going to happen, but yeah, going to like Boost for Boobies 15 years ago,
yeah, there's like
all SRT4s
As
with these
all-
like golf ball tunes, and
Yeah.
they're all gone.
yeah, they're all gone because everybody wanted like a flame shooting firecrackle tune. And, like,
Yeah.
nobody actually wanted to make them reliable, and everybody that
Blew 'em up.
Yeah, they're all blown up and in junkyards. Mm-hmm. And like now, all you can find are automatic PT Cruiser turbos. So I guess if you want SRT4, that would make you have to buy a PT Cruiser, and that's
Or
why
a Caliber.
and that's why it's not in D tier, because there's actually people that want it, and it's really not all that bad of a car to drive. It's
If you're
just
going to buy one of those,
you have to see it. and be
swap the
with it.
drivetrain into a first-gen Caravan at least.
I would say a Reliant K. That'd be a better one. You just gotta find the weirdest K car, because this is basically a K car.
Yeah, then put it in like an Aries wagon or
That's what
something.
I'm saying. Like, just like the dumbest K car you can find.
I still have a soft spot for the old Caravan turbos.
That's
so.
fair. That's very fair. All right, they're an awesome blast to drive. I'm gonna say let's grab the Nissan Juke Nismo. I'm gonna put that in C tier, because you could get it with manual. It is turbocharged.
It's true.
It's all-wheel drive, and it's objectively better than the SER.
Oh, it's way better.
Yeah, and so that's why it's not on D tiers, because the SER exists, and that's the lowest common
That is
denominator.
that is the only vehicle bad enough in this list.
So
I'm looking
far-
at what's left too, and I'm like, yeah, this is
It might.
the Sentra is the worst thing here.
It is really, really, really bad. How do you feel about the Ford Probe?
So you've got a second, or is this third gen?
This is a
I think it's the
second
second
gen
gen Probe,
yeah.
or like a third gen Mazda, whatever it's based on.
It is
These,
they were second gen. They only had 2 gens, but yeah, like they had a facelift with the second gen.
I mean, these are Duratec. You could get them with a stick, and the styling was good at the time, but again, kind of heavy, kind of expensive when they were new.
Not terribly reliable, because their check engine was always on, because they had the stupid intake arm that would always rip, and every intake arm on Probes was duct taped, because that's how you'd have to fix it. I would say B tier. I'm gonna put that firmly on par with the Hyundai Tiburon.
Yeah, it's definitely less good than the Genesis Coupe. Way less good than a Celica or a Prelude.
But it gun to my head, I'd take a Ford Probe any day over a Riata.
Yeah, and I think I would even take it over a Tib or an Eclipse, honestly.
It's a very high B tier. That's what it is. It's a very, very high B tier.
Yeah, we don't have half tiers, so I guess it lives
Yeah,
in B.
it's a very high B.
The last thing I see in your repository of images appears to be a W body with
Yes.
the Ram Air hood scoops.
I said any Pontiac GTP anything. I specifically chose
so the
Grand
supercharged
Prix.
Grand Prix.
It is annoying. It is the worst sounding engine in the world.
It's so bad.
It is they're all automatics. There's no manual
And the
option.
transmissions can't take power because the chains just blow up with
The
stock
chains
power.
explode. And every time you go out street racing, there's some dipshit with one of these, the small pulley. I think he's got the fastest car in the world, and he's like,
and it goes home in a tow truck.
no, not even that. It drives home, it's fine, but it's like it's faster than like some random G body with like a 305. And so
You're not talking the tuned ones then. You're talking
No,
the
I'm
stock
just like
GTP.
this guy. No, it's like tuned. It's not tuned. It's stock, but he's got a small pulley they bought off eBay.
was gonna say I've seen some of these out there with like turbos and like
Yeah.
the GM Performance chains, or like a 4T80 out of a North Star.
Yeah, they do.
And they
They're-
rip.
Yeah, but they're
that's
still
not
really
most of
annoying
them.
because they sound
Oh,
awful and
yeah.
they're automatic and they're just disgusting vehicles with terrible build
You pop
quality.
the engine or the engine bay open on one of these, even like one of the best done ones, you still see those like 1930s 6-cylinder Buick valve covers, and you're like, what the hell is
the
this?
pushrod valve covers, the
Oh.
disgusting exhaust.
Oh.
I hate that car so
Yeah,
much.
so that's going in D tier.
Yeah, that is a firm D tier car. That is, yeah, and solely for no other reason, I put it in the D tier because of my experiences going out street racing with them. Because every owner is the biggest dipshit in the world, and it's literally they will beat a like 85 Buick or not Buick, Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme with a 305. And they'll like take it by a whole car because the world's slowest vehicle is the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme with a 305.
Then they'll
And-
throw on their hazards.
Yeah, and then they'll go back, they'll turn around, they'll go find some other dipshit that's got a Civic VX. And he's like, it's like this 86 horsepower fuel miser. And he'll go shit on the Civic. And he'll go find a Neon. He'll beat a Neon. He goes, yeah, I beat a Civic Si, and I beat a Grand National, and I beat a
SRT4.
yeah, SRT4, and it's just like, you beat the worst version of all of those cars.
You
Fuck
beat the
you.
Wish.com.
Yeah, and like the
versions.
dude's like, it's always some like gaunt white dude with like a wife beater and meth sores. It's just the worst sort of person that owns these cars. So fuck that car and fuck their owners too.
The owner of every GTP, this is their garage queen, and they
Yeah.
daily drive a 97 Silverado 1500 that's
That-
rusted to shit with Salt Life stickers on it.
That
Everything.
or they have a Grand Am. And not
Oh,
GTV,
no.
like the 4-cylinder at the quad 4.
Quad 4 Grand Am.
Yeah, and they're
Good
like
car.
the cooler cars are daily
Yeah,
driver.
Yeah, especially if it's a manual.
Yeah.
Quad 4, dude.
Yeah, so
Good
absolute
engine.
garbage owners. So
I-
you still have a few left over that you
I do.
that
so,
you added
and they're
after
gonna
the fact.
I know. I'll start with the most controversial one, especially for you, which is the Z31 300ZX non-turbo.
That I'll give you an A tier on that one.
That's where I put it.
I will give you an A tier for that because I like that a lot, and there's a reason I don't own one, and it is the disgusting V6 in that car. It is
The VG30 is really
the
bad.
ugliest engine I've ever seen in my life. And even if it's turbo, it's still you have a VG30. The only way a Z31 gets off of this list is if you got the Japanese market
With the 1J?
200 ZR. No, not 1J. It's a RB25.
Oh, I'm
Or
retarded.
RB20.
Wrong brand.
Sorry, it's a RB.
Yeah.
It's a RB20 turbo.
And it
it's
was
a really,
like the more modern 6-cylinder.
it's a
yeah.
really weird engine because it's a single cam RB turbo that's
Weird.
in it. It's really wild. Like they use it for like that and like the Nissan Leopard. Like there's like two cars that they put that engine in. So, but I mean, like I've seen one Z31 200 ZR in my life, so they
Well,
effectively
that makes
don't
sense
exist.
because they pretty much don't exist.
yeah, they don't exist.
On the same vein, I have the Mark III Supra, and I'm specifically, I guess, talking about the M series cars.
I would put that S tier actually, because it's a good car, but it's like you have to rebuild the cylinder head. It's not just replacing the head gasket. The
I will
cylinder
give
head's
you
warped.
S tier on the 1J cars, but not on the M cars.
I'll
Just
s-
because you have to put in that work. You have to.
Every single one needs that, but once you do, you've got a very, very, very good car for not much money.
Same thing with the VR4. If you put the 99 cylinder heads on it,
I guess
it's
that's
fine.
a good point. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll give you the J series on the S tier, but the
Yeah.
M series car is gonna stay
we
in the
can
A.
put that in A, and even that, it's like bottom of S tier for me. Like it barely would pass for me.
2003 350Z.
I'd say any 350Z. I put those all in S tier. Because that's the thing, is the 350Z, it's a fine car, but your car doesn't matter as soon as you find a Z32 turbo. Twin turbo.
It's
that's
not
actually
S
running.
because it has the same problems as all the other Eclipses and the Genesis Coupe. It's too heavy, and on paper it looked great, but it wasn't.
But you can actually make them in a pretty decent track cars, like with
Yeah, you
tuning
could
the
turn a
suspension.
Genesis into a track car too with an LS.
Well, I mean, like without like doing much with the engine, just from doing suspension modifications, you can make a 350Z into a very good track car for like autocross and stuff like that. Like it's underpowered, yes, but it can handle really well. So
I mean, it has 287 horsepower stock. That should not have been underpowered, but it was.
it's because it's just really heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
would
it's
say-
definitely not above
This is
A.
the thing. The 350Z, I would not put that. I would put that. Let's say A. Let's put that in A.
Fine.
In A tier.
Fine, A is
Because I have to say the 370Z exists, and that I hate the 370Z. It's been in production for way too damn long. And it's not that great.
But that one has better timing chains.
But it still sucks, and it's still even heavier. They found
That's
more
true.
lead in the world to put into these cars.
All those ships being blocked
Yeah,
right now, they're just full of
exactly.
lead delivering for new 350Z,
Exactly.
370Zs. Okay, fine. I will grant that,
I'm pretty
that's
sure
in A.
Nissan's going to go out swinging with the 370Z. They're going to come out with the new, like, Z car, whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah.
And they're still be making the 370Z because they're just not. They're going to forget that's in production. It's like when you're playing automation, you forget to cancel an old model. It was a weird car from like 1954. It's in production in the 80s. And you're like, who's buying this? And
Wait,
you-
we're still making the Beetle?
Yeah.
It's still selling.
Yeah.
Huh. All right,
Okay.
well, all
and
right.
then you look, and it's like it barely passes safety tech for whatever country you're selling it in.
Is that like
And-
that private label Sentra that was made
Yeah,
in
exactly.
South
You know, it's
America?
Suru. It's just the 370Z is gonna be there forever. Oh god, I hate that car.
Anyway, I think that's everything else I added. Actually,
You,
didn't
you
add
wrote
all that
Mark
much.
1 something. Just
Oh.
what was that supposed to be? Actually, I'll put the Mark 1 Supra on this list. I'll throw Supra behind that because Mark 1 Supra can totally fit right into a big fat B tier.
No, I was going to put the Mark 3. I was going to put the Mark 4 Supra there.
No, that car does not belong on this list by any means.
It does. Yeah.
Nope, I'm fighting.
Good engine, but again,
I will
heavy.
fight you to the death on that one.
That's fine. We already disagree on this one.
Also, it's lighter than the Mark III,
It is.
like by a lot.
Still a very heavy car.
Yeah, but I mean, it's super heavy. However, it's got an amazing engine.
You should
it's got
just
a great,
rename the Toyota Supra, the Mark 4 specifically, the 2JZ.
It's
That's
a
all
good.
that
I like
matters.
the Mark IV. I also think that the Mark IV is a very handsome car.
I don't like how it looks.
I think it is up there for one of the better. Like if you get a Mark IV, because you're thinking of them in bad condition,
No.
but if you see a Mark IV, it looks like in good condition with the right specs on it.
I just
like-
spent a week surrounded by an event that started with Mark IV Supras and has a very populated Mark IV class. And
I
there's some
love Mark
interesting
IVs.
stuff that people are doing with these. And the Billet 2JZs that they're running in these fucking things are very impressive. But that car, it doesn't make sense how popular it is.
You know
It's
what?
a good car, but I hate it because it's more popular than it should be.
That's fair. I can get behind that. It's too hyped up. However, too hyped up does not make it an underwhelming performance car. It's too hyped up.
It was slower than the ZX and the 3000 GT when it was new.
Yeah, when it was new, but that's the thing is
That's all I'm illustrating.
All right, that's
It got its hype from being
it got
the Supra when it was new, and just because it is reliable.
the other thing, like why I would not say it's underwhelming is because the car really took like at the time what was considered to be unreliable technology stuff and
Yeah,
was
sequential
able
turbocharging.
yeah, like sequential turbocharging, and it took like a bunch of like in-car electronics tech and actually put that into a car and said, look, you can do this reliably and effectively. So that's why I'm saying it's not an underwhelming car, because while yes, it was very heavy. It was very heavy because it's a Halo car, because Toyota put every piece of technology they could ever think of into that car.
But they still give it a Tercel dashboard and a gauge cluster that looks worse than a Tacoma.
That was the style at the time.
It
Like it really was. It was
Well,
1993.
look at all the other interiors that they had, though. They had good-looking
They
interiors
did, but
in the
all
90s.
the other interiors they designed after that or way before that. So
That's the
all
thing.
the,
This
all
was
the-
like a tester out for the
it's-
late
that-
model,
that's
the
the
late
thing
90s
is like,
Toyotas.
and then they couldn't redesign it because
Right.
then the bubble economy crashed, and now they're just stuck with the car in like really phase one. So
Right.
I can't really fault them on that. And also like
Again, good car.
Yeah.
I hate it because it's overhyped.
that's fair. That's totally fair. We have no Euros on this. We need to fix that. I'm going to put the Mark V Golf in not Golf, but the Mark V GTI is right down in D tier.
That is because it has the world's most unreliable and, well, second most unreliable because the
Unreliable garbage engine, which was also available in that.
TSI. And it rusts. You couldn't
Rust,
get a
yes, you
TSI
could.
in a Mark V, could
Yes,
you?
you could.
Really? The late ones?
Like the super light ones, yeah, it was bad. They were all bad.
Wow.
But you could get you have that. You have the stereo issues where the stereos just brick themselves out of nowhere, and you have to
Awesome.
send them to Germany and they have to rebuild them, and
Rust.
then like The rust is super
More
bad.
rust.
They have electrical problems because they have the
Biodegradable harnesses, yep.
biodegradable harnesses. Absolute pure trash. And for some reason, Volkswagen's the only manufacturer in the world that can make a headliner at sags in like 2013. Like, it's the only car I've ever heard of doing that. Like,
It's probably
what the fuck?
plant glue.
I have no idea. Like, nobody else has a problem with headliner sagging except for Volkswagen. So yeah, the Volkswagen, they get a big fat fucking D. How about let's put a Euro in S tier.
I had an M2 in the S tier. I'm not sure where that went.
Oh, maybe that was supposed to be the one where you put MK.
Oh,
Yeah,
I bet
maybe.
it was. Yeah, it was supposed to be like the first gen no frills M2 when it came out.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a good car.
It just has the 1 series that exists.
No, it was the M3 at the same time. It was like the same thing as the 1M, except
Well, I mean,
it like didn't do it as
That's
well.
what I'm saying. It's like it had the 1 series. Like you had the 1M, which is better than the M2. They had all the 1 series cars, which are better than all the 2 series cars.
But the 1 didn't exist when this came out.
But you could still get them on a used car lot.
Right.
They were the year before.
Correct.
So,
And they still had hydraulic steering and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So really, really good car.
but just
like
let down. It just off the mark.
it just makes you grit your teeth. And like it's a really good car.
Volvo C30.
Oh, those weren't sold with the stick, were they?
They were.
Oh, so just front wheel drive only.
Yes.
Okay.
They were sold with the stick, front wheel drive,
5-cylinder
and they
Focus.
didn't have the R line. For
Right.
those.
They got rid. I
was-
resent that car because they
got
got
rid
rid of
of-
the S60R and the V70R and they gave us the C30.
And then after that, they made Polestar. But it was a good car.
I know the C30 is a good car. It's really cool looking.
It's super rad. I'm putting that in S.
No, it's front wheel drive.
'Cause that's fine.
No.
So is the Celica.
This company previously had shit that wasn't front wheel drive.
Yeah,
and
but
they gave us a front wheel drive product.
So-
Also, it's not very reliable. Also, it's based on a Focus. Also, it rusts a lot.
All right,
It's
fine.
not
A.
S. A is fine.
It's A. It's A tier. I gotta get it. I want to find a Euro that goes in the S tier though. Because Europe's so good.
well, the
at-
M2's in there.
Like Europe is just so good at making cars that are almost hitting the mark that make me almost want to buy them, but not quite.
We can nail this. I'm sure there's something that was made in the last
'Cause
30 years that
there's-
Europe made those really good.
Because like the M2 and the M2 exists in that tier because the car before it really.
Pretty
Like,
much.
yeah.
Yeah, which
but
is
I wanna,
this one here.
Yeah, I want to find a car that's like really truly on its own stands head and shoulders firmly in S tier.
What came out and we were like, damn.
How about the Boxster? I would call that an S tier car.
The first gen
It's
2.5
not
Boxster.
Good. They're not reliable.
No, the first gen is.
Well, the very first.
The
two
very
fives,
first
the
Boxsters
two
were
fives,
reliable.
But they're slow.
they're pretty
Ball
slow.
slow. And
Well,
then
they're still 200
and then you
horsepower.
got them like but whatever.
2,780 pounds.
And it says Porsche on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's the thing with Porsche. You have to go 30 miles an hour faster than you would expect it to.
I don't like any Porsche. That much.
I would say the Boxster really belongs on that list.
It is underwhelming. Okay,
Because
fine.
it's solely-
987 base.
If you had the 3.2 be reliable, it would have been a really good car.
Yeah, if the 96 whatever Boxster
And if
had 250 horsepower.
yeah, like that's it, like 50 horsepower would have and just made it reliable. It was just dead reliable. That would have been.
It had reliability. It didn't have power. Like
Yeah.
you look at spec Boxster.
Well, that's what I
which
mean.
is kinda not a thing
If you had the
anymore.
power
Right.
plus the reliability, if you had all of that, that'd be perfect.
Do not buy a Boxster S
No,
first
it's
gen.
really bad. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, don't do that.
I think I even told you, man, that seems like a bad idea, but okay.
I mean, you look at it and you're like, that's a lot of car for the money. Why is it this way? And I found the cheapest one, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll take it. And then I tracked it for 1.5 laps, and then it exploded.
Yeah,
And then I
exactly.
had to put an engine in it, which was really expensive.
How about a C tier European car? Because C tier is a weird tier to get into.
I want to pick like a Volvo or a Saab.
Well, we've
Probably-
we
we already
should
did
have
a Volvo.
lot. How about I guess the 9.3 Vigan? That should belong in the A tier.
That car, it should have been good.
And it was let down by a transmission, really.
It was let down by the transmission, and the engine sludged so bad in those.
Yeah, but I mean, the engine sludges in the
However,
3.3
even with a
2.6.
3-speed Vigan that was just torched, I still had a lot of fun. So
maybe not even put that on the list. Just put that as we should do a list of forgotten performance cars that aren't forgettable, but ones that are just they're good and nobody remembers them.
No,
That-
it belongs on this list.
On this list, A tier. Or should we put it in S? Should it belong in S?
I have such a hard time putting a front-wheel drive car in S. Let's put it in B.
All right, that's fair.
Oh shit, that's A.
That's all right. And then we still need a B and a C tier.
No, we have B. We need C.
Oh yeah, we need a C tier. So we need a car that's something that's like equivalent to a Nismo Juke, something that's like a Riata,
Oh,
where
shoot.
it's very close.
I had a Galant GTZ in there as well.
Ooh, that would have been a really
Like,
good C tier.
In
Actually.
2001 auto show, I'm like, wow, four-door
cool,
cloth
yeah.
interior, manual only V6, and like the best looking Galant. I'm like, I'm in, but it was a terrible car.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then you found out that there was an all-wheel drive turbo version in Japan that we did not get. That
Correct.
made it really shitty.
Yes.
But
Anyway, so that level of car.
I'm gonna say Jaguar S-Type. The 90s or the late 90s, early 2000s S-Type.
I'm gonna say a Jaguar XE if we're going Jaguar.
The newer one?
Yeah, because it has the ATS syndrome where like it's a good car and it's like sold with a manual and a good powertrain, but like they don't exist. Nobody bought one.
I feel like that'd be more of an S tier.
No,
I mean, like,
it's an ATS. It's not a good car. I mean, it's still like too soft and it's a little too heavy. And
Oh yeah, okay then. Yeah, we can put it there. I'm still voting for the
use it
S-Type.
as a fallback. The S-Type R would be interesting because that's technically kind of like a sports car.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like it's just not as good as anything else that Jaguar's ever made. Like it's just not that good. It's
And
really
it's really ugly.
It's horrifically ugly, and it's really like the vast majority have Duratec V6s in them.
Yeah, but the S-Type R has got that like I don't even know who. I think
it's
that's
an Inatec V8. That's what it is.
the
It's
4-liter is.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the.
I thought it was a Rover with twin cam heads
No,
on it.
it's a Lincoln LS V8.
Oh.
They're very similar to the Lincoln LS. It's pretty much a Lincoln LS actually.
So yeah, actually you're right. The Lincoln LS had that engine without the
it was
supercharger.
literally just the Lincoln LS with a supercharger on it. So, that should go in the C tier.
Yeah, S-Type R.
Yeah, just any S type. I think just all of the Jaguar S types go right firmly into C tier. So there you go. That's our comprehensive list. If you don't like it, you're wrong. That's what the tier list is for forgettable performance cars.
Oof. Even like no, the XJR has got that like it's just beautiful. So like, you forgive that car for being horrendously unreliable.
The XJR is a great looking car. I love
is.
So I've like working at BAT. I like ride a lot of Jags, and like I realize like I've got my cars I like to write because I can write them pretty quickly, and they're like super simple and it's just a good money maker for me. And Jags have become that because nobody else likes writing them. I'm like, give me all of your 2000s Jags. I will write every single one of them. They're all like every single one in the world. Like, I think the highest miles I've ever seen on Jags like 80,000 miles. Because it's always owned by some old man.
There was an old meme video of somebody in a 2000 XJR crossing over 100,000 miles. And like that was the whole video. It was like stopped at 99,999. It was like and just video off. I'm like, what happened after?
That's why the video turned off. Just an EMP. But no, I legitimately really love Jags. This morning before I came here, I was looking at Jaguars I kind of want to buy almost.
No.
It's
Ryan,
bad. It's
no.
really bad.
Ryan, no.
It's really, really, really
Ryan,
bad.
no.
I wasn't looking at good ones. I was looking at one where it's like, I want one that's in really good condition, like electrically, interior, but like they overheated the engine because they just like didn't do a water pump or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have TH400s in them. And you
Yeah.
could just put an LS on it and just have a very reliable luxury car.
Yeah, if you're gonna small block, and I'm gonna say small block,
Yeah.
swap any car,
It's going to be that.
go to Jegs, get yourself a $1,200 350 out of the catalog,
And just
throw it in there, and
find a-
just be done.
Yeah, and that's why I want one. Because like, I really like these cars, and they're really, really cool. I'm like, there's so much cool shit. Like,
I looked
people
at
just
buying
don't
a
think-
cheapo.
I know, I
for-
remember that when you were
for the Lemons Rally.
Yeah, like
And then I determined that it was way better to put a 1.6 IDI VW diesel into a 924 for points.
Yes, it was. It made way more sense to do that when we couldn't.
Also,
find-
it would have done like 80 mpg,
Yeah, exactly.
and it would have made it.
It would have been hilarious. It probably been the world's most reliable 924.
It'd probably be more enjoyable to drive too.
Yeah,
Same
honestly.
power.
But yeah,
still-
no, the
maybe I'll do
Jag,
that someday.
like, God, they're just everybody sleeps on. They have so much cool shit that goes on with them. Like, They have all the things that you could get from like a BMW 7 Series,
Yeah.
like in the 90s, but they had that just like in the 80s, and it was like questionably reliable. Like the 80s Jag is why the Supra is a good car. Like it's like it does all the stuff that an 80s Jag did, but reliably. It's just such a cool car, though. Fuck, I love them.
You should stop taking the Jaguar ad rights because you're gonna end up with like a really shitty Jag,
I am.
and then
Anyway.
it's just gonna sit like the Cressida did.
Yeah, it's true. But that's the thing is I finally fixed the Cressida, though. So it's like,
yeah, you had to when you moved, so that was a huge benefit
yeah.
of getting a house.
Yeah, like the car's fixed. It's there. It works. I mean, yeah, it's fine. But like, that's the thing is the Jag. Well, that's the thing is that's what I'm saying. I'm not kidding myself. I gotta get one that's in like good condition, but doesn't have a good engine.
Right,
And
and
that's
that
so
shouldn't
easy.
be too hard to
No,
find. Yeah,
because everybody just like
especially
parks
a
them.
V12 one.
Well,
yeah.
that's the thing is people just park them, and they never like flush out the coolant, and the water pump just like
Or the
breaks.
fuel.
Yeah,
I'm
and,
sure
like,
Lucas injectors from the 80s love ethanol fuel.
yeah, nothing's better than a seized water pump in a car that's not getting anywhere near enough gas into the engine. It just blows up the whole engine. You can get one where it's like everything works. The car phone still like doesn't work because the government doesn't let it work. But, like it should
2G
otherwise
towers
work.
just don't work.
Yeah, but like everything else works. Like yeah, like that's what I want to be perfect. Very cool
I'm
car.
still gonna say it's a bad idea. It's just like my coworker asking if he can cash out his 401k to put it into crypto.
That's a bad idea.
That is the same thing you just described.
But I'm doing it on like a $5,000 budget.
Anyway, this was actually an article I pulled probably 3 weeks ago now, and I really wanted to cover it because it's adorable. I'm bummed Jan is not here to help cover it, but this kind of stems from the Type 35 Minis that were built by Bugatti back
Yeah.
in the day, and then again now, the Mini
Yeah.
2. This guy built, I think it's 8, 3/4 scale vintage cars.
That's really rad.
Using mostly like appliance parts and just random shit like that. But there's something strangely endearing about a car that's like, oh, that's really cool. Like you see a 50 or 40s Ford or whatever the
Yeah.
hell that thing is, and you're like, oh, that's cool. And
And
then
you
you
see,
see
like,
it like a,
small it is.
a 6-foot man inside taking up the whole thing. I'm like, something's not right here.
That's pretty rad, actually. It reminds me of the sprint car chassis
Yes.
that they use like at Elko Speedway.
Yep,
So
they're about that size.
Bjorn has one, or he had one. And the sprint car chassis got stolen. I was trying to convince him to put his N600 body onto it.
Oh,
because the
jeez.
floor is gone in the N600. I'm
Sure.
like, dude, like. You just put it on. Like, it's there. Like, why would you not do this?
All your work is done for you.
The wheelbase was within an inch of the N600 wheelbase, too. Like, it was like, it's there. Just do it. Like, why aren't you doing it?
It's set. It's
and
done.
these are great. I love this.
But look at that guy. I don't
Yeah,
know, I don't know
with-
how tall he is, but like,
It's a man that's not 3 feet tall next to a 3/4 size lead sled Merc. That's awesome. Does it have a flathead in it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the car up here, I don't know what the hell that thing is. It's got a 1.3 liter 4-cylinder from a Toyota.
It looks like an American Bantam.
This, I don't think that. Well, maybe the flathead would be small enough to fit in there. That would be a tight squeeze.
That'd
a
be a
full-size flathead would be
hilarious flathead in that, though.
awesome.
That'd be so cool. That'd be the best like means of owning a flathead. God, that
the
car's
license
awesome.
plate's Wana V8, so maybe it is a flathead.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd be so excited if that was a flathead.
Me
Oh,
too,
man.
actually. But anyway, I just had to cover this because these are. I mean, the workmanship in these is just
These are
amazing.
great. And the guy looks like the sort of dude that make these.
Yeah, he is so bored. He's like, yeah, well, I was in my garage, and then the COVID happened, so I just
Pretty
decided
much,
to take
yeah.
apart my refrigerator, and,
Now I made a car out of it.
looky here.
This
So,
is great. I
You'll have
love
to check
it.
them out. This video is long, otherwise I'd play it. but
10 out of 10. Big
yeah,
fan.
I'll try to remember to dump that link in the description of the episode so you guys can see it, but
So
it's super cool.
Speaking of small cars,
Yes.
I want to talk about Fiats.
Oh,
so-
I'm game.
I don't have a link for this. It's just a thing I want to talk
That's
about.
fine. I took mine out of storage yesterday.
GTA Online added the air-cooled Fiat 500,
Nice.
which is very cool. In addition to the new Fiat 500, so I can actually like now just drive.
Double nice.
I can now like drive my normal car in GTA. But the thing is,
Grazie.
so the reason I quit playing GTA Online was the load times were apocalyptic. Like 3 minutes to switch servers.
I had no idea. Corey was telling me that apparently, yeah, if you're playing GTA Online and you're getting into it, the loading screen
It's
takes
unbelievable.
forever.
I literally would load up the game, go take a shit, come back 15 minutes later, and then like my character is there, like finally just spawned. Like it doesn't do the weird camera thing, so you don't get the screen burn. A character is like had just dropped into the world. But this is the thing is apparently a player actually found an inefficiency in the code that slowed down loading times by 70%.
Yeah, it was a JSON file that was being needlessly passed back and forth like 50 times to the server.
He removed that. Now Rockstar added it to their latest patch, and the player got paid $10,000.
So I have a lot of detail on the story actually. So the guy Snowden or something like that.
Yeah.
His handle doesn't matter, but he created a DLL that just told the game to stop using the JSON.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. And Rockstar picked it up, put it, like you said, into the official patch, so it's actually there. And they repurposed their bug bounty, which is $10,000, which is only for security flaws.
Yeah.
But they made an exception and gave this guy.
Well, because is 70% faster. Like,
it's
unbelievable.
And I quote, a meaningful difference in load performance.
I booted it up the other day, and it took a reasonable amount of time to load up.
Yeah.
Like, it was so much faster.
So I don't typically like Rockstar, but I mean, props for paying the dude and not being angry that he decompiled your source code.
Yeah, to figure this out.
And
so I'm a big fan of this because now I can virtually drive my actual car in actual traffic just like real life, except now I have to worry about some like jackass kid with a flying Ski-Doo with a rocket launcher on it blowing me up for no fucking reason. So that gets to live in the back of my mind. However, it doesn't cost me any money to drive my Fiat now, so that's good.
People ask me, like, why did you spend so much money on a sim rig? It's like, well, I can drive the Nürburgring in a Porsche 919, and it doesn't cost me anything.
More importantly, you can now drive a Fiat in LA traffic.
I could already drive a Fiat around the Nürburgring, and I did it a lot of times.
I didn't say Nürburgring. I said LA traffic
I
at
don't
rush
know
hour.
if GTA Online has wheel support.
I think it does.
That would be so ridiculous. The
Pretty
physics
sure it
engine, people have modded that game like crazy.
I know.
Like,
It's
it
very
looks
difficult
good
to
now,
mod, too.
and like the physics engine's like okay.
It's so effing difficult to modify that game. I have no idea why people are modding it.
I don't know, but like it's still like I think it's the highest contiguous online player count of any game ever by like a not small margin.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's an 8-year-old game and it still has insanely high transactions.
Yeah, they canceled all their expansion packs that they're gonna do for it. I'm annoyed by that, but they canceled all their expansion packs
as long
just
as they
to
support
concentrate.
mod shit, it's fine.
Well, no, I mean like they were gonna do like storyline stuff that I really wanted. Like I really wanted single player storyline.
I got through 5 minutes of the storyline, and then I couldn't figure out what the hell to do.
Oh yeah, I actually like beat the game several times. I really like the story in GTA 5. But yeah, it was just the load times really kind of killed it for me. I'm really happy I don't have to deal with that now. That's good. I'm very happy.
That is a huge plus.
It
so
is a
props
big,
to
big plus.
the guy I forget the name of, which is
Well,
great
he's
part
got
of the
10
story.
grand, so now he can buy a Fiat in real life to
and he
drive
should.
with his Fiat in the game, just like
Everyone
me.
Should go buy a Fiat 500.
Yes.
Because they're excellent cars. All right, moving on.
Yes.
Next topic. The Subaru GTBR GT86Z
Yes. Yes.
GR. We're finally getting the second generation car. That's kind of been confirmed for a long time. You know, it's going to be the new FB 2.4 or whatever the hell engine. It's going to have a little bit more power, still be NA. It's going to facelift. Subaru was going to be the one to do the official announcement for this car, and that was scheduled for the 4th of April.
Yes.
But Toyota just went ahead and just showed us the car already. So I know they're going to be a little bit different, but...
Where's the picture of the car?
All right.
JBU stream on live this link. So they're doing a reveal on the April 5th.
Okay. Oh.
So you're
okay.
just wrong.
This article, this link that I put into the notes has since been changed. So they didn't.
So they ended up.
They're backpedaling, and now they're going to do it a day after the Subaru one.
That's good. That would have been a problem.
But
I feel like they'd be pissed.
But this is the car. I mean, that's
quite a
the
good car.
bottom down.
Yeah, it's a great looking car. I'm very excited.
Are
for
people
it.
going to be satisfied with like the 20% bump in
No,
power?
not at all. People are
Okay.
still gonna bitch and moan. But
Well, it's
some
not a
people
turbo,
can't afford
there's
it.
no
They
STIs.
can't afford it anyway, so fuck it. Like, I don't know. It's
This, I would have
They
put this
bro-
on the list, the first gen one, but it's like it's a better car than it ever got credit for, except for the engine. The engine
that's the
kinda
thing
sucked.
is it doesn't. It is not a underwhelming car. It's just
Right.
that's what I want to do. Like, it's not a forgettable car. It's a forgotten car. And that's how I want to do like a forgotten car list for cars. Like, that just
Like the Vigan, yeah.
don't get the credit that they deserve.
The first gen GT86, like if you just didn't follow the maintenance shit from Subaru, you'd be fine.
If you put in put in oil, not water.
Correct, yeah.
And
oil would help a lot.
Yeah, oil helps a lot. And then you did your oil changes early.
Yep.
Like, you're good. You're very, very good. And you'll have a very reliable, very nice car.
And it seats 4 and has a huge trunk. It's relatively fuel efficient. It's great to drive. They're cheap.
They had really cool versions in the Japanese market, too. Like, you can get one with a roll cage in it from the factory. Like, they had a track spec one that...
We should send them an email and be like, see these Fiat 500 editions? Do that in the United States.
So they had one that had a roll cage in it and like all like the track stuff on it, and it came with just steel wheels with the cheapest tire that you can get.
Oh, because they're gonna get ripped off.
Yeah, you ripped off and put some R compound tires, and now you can just put whatever wheels and tires you want on it.
Awesome.
And it was like totally spec'd out for like racing. And you can just like go to a Subaru dealership and buy it. Yeah, it's very cool. And I'll bring my.
We need cooler stuff.
I'll bring
here,
my
man.
BRZ brochure from Japan here sometime. It's quite good to look at. So, you didn't have a bad week, but you've had bad weeks in the past. However, every time you've had a bad week, you can always think to yourself, hey, at least I didn't jackknife my giant quarter-mile-long container ship in the middle of the Suez Canal.
That is correct. I did not do that.
This man did that.
The memes that have come out of this are just god tier.
They're hilarious.
I'd like the top-down view or something like that.
But, oh boy.
The digger picture is not the best one.
I love the digger picture, though. That one's so funny, though. But yeah, it's rough. I'm so happy I'm not that guy.
This website is making me angry.
It's the Al Jazeera website.
It's a terrible website.
It's Al Jazeera, dude. I just had to go with them because I had a good picture of the digger. I knew they wouldn't have a paywall because it's Al Jazeera. But, there it is.
Finally.
Oh, my God.
Jeez, I only had to scroll for like 10 years.
So bad. So it's 400 meters long, and that is almost a half of a kilometer. So it's over an eighth of a mile and just under a quarter mile long. It is such a giant ship. It holds 25,000 containers. One container.
So is this bigger or smaller than the Porsche Taycan?
It is bigger.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Actually, yeah, because the Porsche Taycan is the largest internal combustion engine in one of these.
Oh.
It's not the largest one of these.
So is this like turbine powered?
It might be, it's either turbine or nuclear. It's one of the two.
Oh, God.
Yeah, like they're really ridiculous. Like they're huge. And yeah, so they're really, really, really big. Like really big.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a good sense from just seeing the pictures, but the Austin Powers turning around the cart in the tunnel back and forth overlaid with the ship, that's my favorite meme so far.
With these ships, apparently what happens with the Suez Canal, or like any canal or anything ever, like you need GPS satellites to watch them turn. Like when they turn, like a hard turn for them is going around the Horn of Africa.
Okay.
That's like a hard turn, like going around a continent. So I guess when this started, like turning, they just couldn't do anything. They were done. Like they're just like I can't. Oh, they tried counter steering, but you just can't counter steer. It's like stopping a train.
I'm surprised they let like something that size go through this canal.
That's what the canal's for. I'm sorry, the Horn of Africa thing was a little bit of an overstatement, but it's like their turning radius is like measured in miles.
Yeah. I mean it's like trying to turn a locomotive without
it literally
tracks
is. Yeah, it's insane. So,
but it's now been stuck for over 4 days.
I don't know if it's real, but I know Peter Francis said the guy drew a big penis in the ocean. That's hilarious.
I believe.
Is the ship still stuck?
So go to istheshipstillstuck.com and it will tell you it's been stuck for 4 days, 8 hours and 39 minutes, and it has cost the world $42 billion.
Oh my God, that's so bad.
So when I saw that link, I laughed yesterday.
Another Dutch thing. See, I told you, every time the Dutch are in the news, it's always something horrible that happens. You never want the Dutch to be in the news.
I just want to know, like, they should do 24-hour news coverage of this, like what they're doing and what they're planning to try to do.
They should, yeah. Like
I would watch that.
The Egyptian government should totally have a live stream.
Do it. Put it on.
Also, I did
YouTube.
not know that it was so green on that near the Suez Canal. Oh, you can totally see the Egyptian side.
I was gonna say, I assume Egypt is green and this is
This is
just
Saudi Arabia, I think.
garbage
Yeah.
land. Okay.
So that's pretty cool. Now we know. Anyway, that was bad.
And I'm gonna move my wrap up of my weekend actually to the next episode, just because this one ran a little bit long.
Yeah, it did. Well, we had to do our wonderful tier list. It
No,
was
I'm not.
great.
I'm not mad at all.
So we can do future tier lists if you, the viewer, would so like us to.
Yeah, but you gotta tell us,
You got, tell us. And that's
especially the audio listeners, because I'm curious what your experience was listening to us do a tier list.
your best way of telling us is becoming a patron and telling us directly via our Discord.
The Discord is getting pretty hopping these days.
And you do need to tell us, and that's honestly the best way, because any other way is just going to take off forever.
For 1.0.
One entire forever.
1.0 forevers.
Does it
Anyway.
take, I was going to say a lifetime, but I'm
No,
probably...
no,
It'll
no.
be several lifetimes
Yeah.
before I can get to that.
I won't
so-
even need the pre-war bell with how long it's gonna take.
No,
you,
it won't.
So.
We need a gong. We need like the pre...
No.
Before
We already have
common era gong.
the post-war chime is down there.
That's true, but we never use that.
We don't use that.
Alright.
The pre-war bell. That's a thing.
It works really well. Watch this. Duesenberg.
Rip headphone users. Thanks for listening. We will catch you guys next week.